I am Vinnie Tortorich. Folks, your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. Yeah, it's the Friday show. And when we hear Blondie, we know that only means one thing and one thing only. It's the ever so popular call-in show. So call me. That's what we're talking about here. Before we bring any callers in, he's back. I would like to say he's back by popular demand, but I don't know. All right, he's back by popular demand. I'm talking about Mr. Chris Shaffer. Yeah. How's it going, Chris?
Good, man. How you doing?
I can't complain. Can't complain.
I mean, you could, but who would listen except for everyone listening, I guess.
I'm happy. I'm happy for a lot of reasons. Look, I know I keep going on about it at the end of every show, but we have everything shipping at purevitaminclub.com. There was a moment when I thought we were going to have to shut that company down because of, I'm going to be honest. It started off with, I started seeing the chinks in the armor with, supply chain breaks. And that went on longer than we thought. But when I started looking deeper, it was a lot of mismanagement. I'm just going to call it what it is. And you know who's at fault? Chris, you want to take a guess who's at fault?
I would go with the management.
Me.
That makes you the management, right?
Yeah, even though I own the company and I had other people in place, and I thought I was asking all the right questions and going, "Hey, why is this not happening? Why is that not happening? What happened to this, that, and the other thing?" Apparently, I didn't really want to see what was going on because had I looked deeper, I would have seen it a lot sooner. And I'm telling you that for a reason, folks. Sometimes we think, oh, I'm fat, but it's not my fault. I'm out of shape, but it's A, B, C, and D. I'm out of shape because my wife doesn't like to go to the gym. I'm out of shape because my husband, he's thin all the time, he comes home with ice cream every night, right? These are all excuses. I made the same kind of excuses with my business. Just like you, I'm fallible, right? And boy, did I fail, right? But every time I've failed in my life, I've used it as a learning tool to do better and to get better. And I think we've done that because now the company is bigger and better than it was before. I mean, we're kicking ass. And Chris, would you agree? Where are we?
In terms of what? Being bigger and better? I'd say leaner and meaner and doing more things much more effectively.
Yeah.
Which is weird to think about, right? Like you can pare back sometimes and do fewer things and then do more things with the same resources.
Right.
I think that works in health and fitness too, right? Like we talk about all of the options that we have in the grocery store. And if you stop shopping the middle of the store and you just focus on the outside, it turns out you get better results with less effort, right?
Yeah.
And so
that's
been 2024 and 2025 so far. But there's a lot of things coming too, which I think is going to be interesting for people.
Yeah, I'm excited about all of it because, for one, I'm working on the exercise program that we're going to be putting up. And I'm just excited about all of it. So we shall see. Without any further ado, Chris, I can sit here and yap all night. I know we have Mitchel in the wings. Can we bring him up?
Yeah, Mitchel, give me that thumbs up and then go ahead and unmute and we'll bring you on in. Hey, Mitchel.
There he is. Hey, man. How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
I want to say thank you for opening my eyes to the seed oils that are out there. I've dealt with inflammation in one of my shoulders for many years due to a car accident I was involved with. And, being off seed oils, and I had ended up eating some seed oils a couple weekends ago, and my shoulder like inflamed right away, and it's very noticeable. And you don't realize what you medicate for issues, but you don't realize what the issue is until you figure it out.
Debbie, get ready. We might have an Instagram post right here. We've been yapping on this show about seed oils for at least 10 years. Kate Shanahan came in here and told us about them. Early on, Nina Teisho, she even wrote about them in her book, Big Fat Surprise, talked about seed oils. Now you're seeing these, everybody's going, what's wrong with seed oils? Prove it. I don't see a study. We don't need a study. When you have guys like Mitchel, just a regular Joe telling you, hey, man, you told me about seed oils. I quit using them. All of the inflammation in my shoulder went away. And then I accidentally had seed oils and I went back to hurting again with inflammation. Why do you need a study? Why do you need JAMA to come in and all these other publications that publish these studies? They're all part of the same nasty group. All of them, right? Oh, we're going to publish this study. And you guys are going to say, oh, yeah, we reviewed the study and it's good. And at the end of the day, you got all of these people just playing in the same sandbox, right? Do it for yourself and see how you feel. Stay motivated. All right, Mitchell. Was I right on about that or not?
Yes, you are very correct.
Okay, tell me about it. So you hurt your shoulder how?
I was in a car accident. I was a passenger, and we T-boned the car at 45 miles an hour, and it's just we walked away from the accident, but it's just the fact of that sudden stop and the thrust forward that doesn't your body pulls and twists and tears things, and what can you do about it? Not a whole lot other than work your way through it.
There's G-force at 40 miles an hour. There's G-force involved, right? You're going from your body is hurling through space at 40 miles an hour, and then it comes to an abrupt stop, right? That's the problem.
Correct.
What was the diagnosis on your shoulder? Did you pull it out of joint? What happened to your shoulder? Do you even?
Nothing was really documented that I did anything, but I did physical therapy for it. I was tight on that side of the body for a fair time after the incident.
Yeah. So how long ago was that?
2018.
And so you just thought, hey, for the rest of my life, every time it rains, my shoulder's going to hurt type of thing? One of those?
Kind of. Or if you did something, just a little bit out of normal, that it would, you aggravate it, and you just have to take ibuprofen, Tylenol, and mask the pain.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to be able to, it's going to snow, it's going to rain, it's going to do whatever, and you don't notice it at all. Or, I've been in a logging project at home, and, you're in very weird positions cutting trees down, and you don't, I don't notice it. Occasionally it's a little stiff in the morning because, you worked it, but nothing more than the rest of the body aches.
Yeah. It's funny, back when my shoulder was really bad, before I finally had it replaced, people thought it's like, you're like an old Indian or something, right? I was like, what do you mean? It's like, they would go, yeah, no, there's only 30% chance of rain. It's not going to rain today. And I would go, oh, it's going to start raining in the next 15 or 20 minutes. And before you know it, there's kind of like in a movie, there's lightning and thunder and there's a downpour. And they would go, how did you know? It's like, my shoulder hurts all the time, but there's an acute pain that happens, right? The barometric pressure drops to a certain level fast enough. And I don't know what happens, how the body receives that. I have no idea. I just know. And, there's not a Doppler radar on this planet that was better than my right shoulder, period. Right. And all of that went away when I finally got it fixed. But yeah, whenever I would eat any kind of crap, that was the other time. Like, when I go to Louisiana, I go, all right, I'm here. I'm only here for the next 36 to 48 hours. I'm going to get me some catfish. Of course, it is breaded and, all kinds of crap. And it's dropped in seed oil. And I would eat it with a good heart, man. It would remind me of childhood and the whole thing. And then, within a few hours, it was like, not only would my shoulder hurt, I got lower back stuff from football, and I got a couple of neat things, a few knick-knack injuries. It's like, Jesus Christ. I felt like I had the flu, when everything in your body just hurts. Yep. And you can either just fight through it. You could take ibuprofen. It actually helps a little bit. But now you're throwing, for me, it was like, all right, now I'm throwing a chemical on top of crap. I'm using a chemical to get rid of a reaction that I caused. I don't deserve to take this ibuprofen because I knew when I ate this catfish where I was headed. Right. And I would just punish myself and I'm not going to take it because I didn't want to have people go, why not, man? Come on. It's like, they're drugs are silent killers. And I know what you're thinking. Come on, Vin, it's an over-the-counter, non-steroidal, anti-inflammatory. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But, big but in there, there is no good with a drug without the bad. It's just a fact. I don't care what you're taking. So when I hear these people saying, yeah, I was able, I had all these problems. I was taking 5, 6, 7 drugs. Now I'm down to 2 or 1 or none. Right? It makes a big difference. Tell me about the rest of you. How did you find this, Mitchell? How did you find all of this?
I'm Roby 3.0.
You're the second one I talked to today. I had a phone call. I'll tell you the guy's name if you think I'm kidding. Scott. I won't say his last name because I don't have permission. Last name starts with an H. We're recording this on 210. Scott, you remember we talked? Guy was from, tell you where he's from, Memphis, Tennessee. We had a whole conversation about Memphis. And he was a Roby 3.0. And I was like, wait a minute, how did you miss the first 2? Did you go back and listen to the first 2? Because I got to tell you, they were the best 2.
Actually, I listened to all 3 of them. I found the paperwork I printed out from 2017 when you were on the first time.
Yeah.
I just mentally couldn't convince myself to go away from sugar.
Yeah. So, there was a woman, she was a big fan from the first one. And she actually got angry at Mike and Chuck for even having me on. She thought I was fat shaming people. And turns out I said, hey, Chuck, tell her about the podcast. Have her come on and listen to my podcast once or twice. She became a big fan. I actually spoke to the woman a couple of times. Super nice woman. I'm not going to say anything here, but she came on board. I think she's in a VIP group, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, sometimes you got to hear it a few times. I was telling my new best friend, Scott from Memphis, earlier today.
Yep.
The first time I did Adam and Dr. Drew back in 2015, it's 10 years ago now, people actually got in touch with Dr. Drew and said, you need to redact, you need to get, make that podcast go away and apologize because you had a guy on there telling people to eat bacon and red meat. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. He's going to kill people. Can you imagine that? That people actually wrote to Dr. Drew Pensky and said, what this guy said on your podcast is dangerous and you could get sued, knowing what you know now.
I can believe that people would do that because, there is a large industry out there that is supported by those foods.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of jobs that are involved in it. So.
Yeah. And look, we don't know. We're recording this on the 10th, but we know that RFK, and look, by the way, folks, I don't talk politics. I don't think of RFK Jr. as being political. I know that he's been politicized. The left had him and decided to discard him. So he went over to the right and they went, hey, we'll take you, right? Because RFK doesn't care whether you bleed red or blue, right? He doesn't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. Kind of like me, he cares about people and Americans, right? He just wants to see people be well, and he wants to see this country heal, physically heal. And you can't do that by helping half the people. I don't think he wants to help half the people. I think he wants to help everyone. Just like I want to help. I never tell people what my political affiliation is, right? I just don't. But I couldn't imagine saying to half the country, screw you. I don't want you to do better. I want everyone, whether I'm on your side or not, I want everyone to do better, right? And that's what we're trying to do here. And I think, Chris, you might be able to chime in. I think Wednesday of this week, or Thursday, is when they're going to decide whether he's going to head up the FDA.
I'll look right now. I know it's this week. It got pushed back to this week.
Yeah, and this show is not coming out for 2 weeks. It won't come out this Friday. It won't come out on the 14th, but the following Friday, which is probably the 21st, if I'm guessing. You see, I did that math. Yes, 21st. So yeah, I would like to see, love him or hate him. I don't care what you got to say about, he's a this denier and a that denier, and I don't care. We didn't see any shake up. Now we're seeing shake up, right? And let's see how far he can get. Let's see if he can work with these food companies, and let's see if he can work with the drug companies and figure something out. I don't think anyone's going to go down without a fight, because drug companies they're drunk on money, and food companies are drunk on money. Any thoughts on that, Mitchell?
They are. There is a lot of money that's involved in the food and drug industry, that for the good or the bad of what it does.
Yeah. Look, when I went into my doctor, because I have a new doctor, my cancer doctor, my oncologist, top guy at a top hospital here. I won't mention his name and I won't mention the hospital, but it's in Virginia and it's in Charlottesville, and it may or may not have a university connected to it. At any rate, he was like, wow, you went 17 years. We never see this on this type of cancer. I said, yeah. Would you be interested in knowing what I did to more than triple the amount of time that I should have had? I don't know if you noticed, Mitchell, they told me I would be back on chemo within about 5 years. I went right past 5 years. I waltzed right past 10 years. And I went past 15 years without stopping, without collecting $200, nothing, right? I got to 17 years before they said, and he was like, 17 years? Wow, I've never seen this. And when I said, would you like to know what I did? He literally put his hand up and went, nope, stop, just stop. Don't want to know. And I said, you really don't want to know? He goes, I know you're going to give me some anecdotal, you took this or you had some kind of milk thistle drink or something. He goes, we hear it all, but that's not medicine. I said, but you just admitted that I went 17 years. And I said, look, I'm not talking about some kind of milk thistle or whatever in the fall. I'm talking about a whole lifestyle change. I'm talking about with Dr. Seyfried. I didn't tell him this. I'm talking about what Thomas Seyfried was talking about. I'm talking about why I quit eating my beloved ice cream, and why I don't drink wine, and why I don't enjoy all the things I want to enjoy, right? Because I'd rather go 17 years without being on chemo than being back on chemo and becoming a victim of myself. At the beginning of this show, Mitchell, I was talking about taking responsibility. My company was failing. I could have easily blamed it on my partner who was running the company, but I blamed it on myself. It was my company. I own the biggest stake in the company. I was stupid for not paying attention to what my partner was doing. I just assumed he was running it correctly. And you know what happened when you start assuming, right?
Yes, I do.
The same thing with everything else, right? I did things to make it 17 years. I can't help it that medicine is not interested in knowing what I did. I'm just happy that I was able to do it. And I have this microphone. I have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are going to hear this. And maybe a percentage, 1%, might go, you know what? I have cancer. I had breast cancer. I had testicular cancer. I had liver cancer, whatever. And maybe try to decide to do this and maybe better their life. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Good. By the way, I love that jacket you have on. It's got the camo inside of the Under Armour label. That's a pretty cool jacket.
Thank you.
Are you a hunter?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Hunters love to wear their camo. When I was a kid, there was no camo. Can you imagine a world without camo?
Maybe.
There was no camo when I was hunting when I was a kid. Matter of fact, I would go deer hunting, and the one thing they would put on me is a big bright green vest. It's like, put this vest on and climb up that tree and get in that tree stand, boy. And when you see a deer come by, see if you can shoot it. that was what we did. We were trying to be seen out there. You guys are all stealthy, like SEAL Team 6.
Sometimes the best camo is the old camo.
Yeah. Yeah, I can believe that, but we would just wear like overalls. Now, like, those big, like you see those big, thick, like you'll see people who work on side the road in the wintertime, the big, thick overalls, and they got padding in them, quilted padding. I had like, if you saw the great movie, First Blood, the original Rambo, I had a jacket like that I got from the surplus store. And it was quilted on the inside, and it was big, and it was really warm. And since it was big, I was able to put a lot of clothes underneath it.
Yep.
And that's what I would wear on the deer stand. Of course, Louisiana has very few really cold days, but it gets down to 60, and we would be cold, especially if you're sitting up in the stand, right?
I understand that one.
Yeah. And by the way, sometimes it was 30 degrees, and you're in that stand, and it starts raining. And my Rambo jacket kept me warm. I wonder if that jacket is still at my mom's house. I bet you it is. Let's just see if I can go find that old jacket next time I'm home. Because it was a cool jacket. I look pretty, I could look like Rambo in that thing. I might go get it. All right, Mitchell. It was great chatting with you, brother.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Stay off the seed oils. And please check in with us.
Will do.
You got it. Chris?
Man, so Mitchell just brought something up that I think is extremely interesting, and something you and I have touched on a few different times. In his case, it's really obvious what the difference is.
Right.
He's already accustomed to what to look for. But if you're not used to this, right, you're not used to not feeling inflamed all the time, or being more accurate than the weatherman, which I guess doesn't take much because it's the only job where you can be wrong and still have a job, literally every day. But when you're first getting things out of your system, you go, oh my God, this feels amazing. And then you forget. But what we don't always think about is that we don't realize how we actually feel.
Right.
When we're overweight, we don't realize the difference in the energy. You only realize it when it goes away.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of us, especially when you do a little bit of life into living, like what you were saying, and I know, let me know if this is TMI, but you and I were on the phone when you were on the way back from Louisiana the last time.
Yeah.
And normally we talk for 35, 40 minutes at a clip, and then you have to stop for gas or whatever. 2 or 3 times during that conversation, you said, man, I got to stop at the gas station. And it's just because I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right? Like I got to let it out. And it's not normal for me, but because I have that extra inflammation, I had that catfish last night.
Well, it was basically the Thanksgiving meal where I had a couple of little extra things. Like I had my mom's stuffed artichokes, because I'm not going to not have them. She won't be around forever. And, I had that piece of pie, and I did have some wine. I had a few things at Thanksgiving. And then the next day I'm driving, right? And I'm peeing like I mean, we were on the phone talking business.
Like an actual racehorse, yes.
Yeah, I was like, Chris, and I wasn't even, Chris was being kind. I wasn't stopping at gas stations. I was just pulling off of exits and just opening the passenger side doors. I have an SUV, so if you open two doors, you got pretty much a little partition between those two where you can take a leak and no one can see you, right? And my dogs kept going, wait, are we getting out? We just got out. Like they were all confused and everything else.
Right. When you have to go to the bathroom more than your tiny dogs, that tells you that something's wrong. But
yeah,
we just accept it. And when I say we, I'm using the royal we as specifically as Americans, right? Because we have all of this stuff that is a temptation all of the time. And when that's the way that you live your life, and I think you and I had this conversation, Vinny, when I found out that I had gluten intolerance and celiacs and all of that stuff, before they ripped out my gallbladder, I was drinking 500 or 600 milligrams of caffeine a day.
wow,
just to be functional. And I didn't realize that that was not a normal thing because everybody around me drank a few different cups of coffee. And it's
right,
not to say that you shouldn't drink coffee, right? But to need that level of caffeine on a daily basis just to be functional is not normal.
no,
It's not to say that you can't enjoy it, but it turns out that it's all related to the food that's going in the other end, right? And as soon as you clean that up, things like that start to go away. Same thing with the inflammation, same thing with, oh yeah, my left knee always bothers me, or whatever those little things are. A lot of that stuff is diet related or
yeah,
condition related, right? You have some inflammation somewhere that you're not treating. And in Mitchell's case, and I hate to say it, but that's a blessing in disguise.
yeah,
The fact that you have that barometer to tell you when you've done something wrong. And it's as sensitive as going to a restaurant and saying, hey, can you not cook this in seed oil? And immediately realizing
yeah,
that, right? I can have 2 bites of something that has wheat in it. And they tell me, yeah, it's definitely gluten-free. It has nothing in it. And I can feel my blood pressure increase. I can feel those things. Where before, I would not have noticed that because you're just living at that heightened level of inflammation, of pressure, of all of those things. And it just goes to show that when you clean that up, it can make a big difference. Now, in Mitchell's case, obviously, it's a little more extreme, right?
yeah,
But everybody has something like that that they can clean up.
absolutely. Chris, you know it's the opposite of seed oils? Any idea?
Go with Villa Capelli.
Villa Capelli olive oil. The opposite.
Yep.
It's funny how one oil will make you feel horrible and another oil can make you feel great. And that's the truth behind Villa Capelli. Villa Capelli is the longest running sponsor on this show and one of the few sponsors I've ever had. We've had Squatty Potty back in the day. You remember Squatty Potty? I still use my Squatty Potty. When I believe in a product, I believe in it. You know, we had a bunch of different sponsors, but no one has endured like Villa Capelli. And speaking of endurance, if you're going long, if you're a distance runner, a distance cyclist, or doing anything, olive oil is what you want in your body. I am not making this stuff up. Now, in this country, you could cut olive oil up to 40% and still call it 100% pure olive oil. Maybe if RFK ends up in office, he will change that. I wish he would. But until then, we know that you can only go and get Villa Capelli, right? Now, there are other, I'm going to be honest, there's other olive oils out there, but I can't go vet all of them. And besides, this stuff comes from Puglia, the same place that one Mr. Sylvester Stallone comes from. That's where his family's from. And it's 100%. They don't cut it. It's delicious, folks. Go check it out. Villa Capelli. Let them know we sent you. If you put in promo code Vinny, you'll save 10%. If you spend $125 after your discount code, meaning if you spend $140 and you get 10% off, you're still above $125, they'll give you free shipping. It's easy to get there because you could buy a 3-liter 10. It's about $100. It's $95, I think, for a 3-liter 10. You buy a couple of other spices and this and that will last you forever. You go, wow, that's a lot of money for olive oil. 3 liters, folks. You just bought your year's worth of olive oil, unless you're in my house. You bought maybe 4 months. because I drink the stuff every day. Right. Villa Capelli, let them know we sent you. VillaCapelli.com, promo code Vinny. Chris, I think I recognize Mariano.
Yeah.
And
before we bring him in, Vinny, I have a question. And if you don't know, just tell me you don't know. We talk about the ability to cut olive oil in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just because there's not a regulation, or like what's the deal with that? How is that even close to legal?
I don't know. Not only is it legal, but they allow them to still call it 100% pure olive oil because, you see, it's the truth in advertising thing. There is 100% pure olive oil in the product, along with these other crap oils. And now look, not all companies cut it up to 40%. Some might be at 30 or 20 or 25 or 28. Who knows? But the bottom line is, once you cut it, it no longer looks like olive oil. So they'll have to put a colorant in there, some sort of dye. So now you've added something else. And then it doesn't smell like olive oil anymore. So they will go and put like an odor to make it smell like olive oil again. Again, none of this stuff is healthy for you. And I'm really hoping that if we do see a change in the FDA with RFK, I'm hoping that he goes after some of this stuff. I really do.
Man, so the other thing, and we get this question a lot, is does this happen with other kinds of supposedly healthy oil, right? Your avocado oils, some of those kinds of things. And as far as I know, the answer to that is yes.
Yes.
Right? Like,
you are correct.
Am I missing something there?
No, they do it with other oils. But look, I don't know much about it. So that's why I don't speak on it at length. I do know that since avocado is the other healthy oil that people go to, and it's hard to, just like it's hard to, olive oil is not cheap, avocado oil is not cheap. So they will go out of their way to cut that stuff. And I don't know what the rules are on that, but I'm going to go ahead and guess it's probably the same rules as with olive oil. And, I saw the other day someone sent me, and I've seen several of these. They went out and bought what they thought was pure lard, right, for cooking, pig fat. And turns out when you read the ingredients, there was hydrogenated oil mixed with, so it wasn't 100% lard. So if you buy beef tallow or lard or any other animal fat to cook with or to consume, be sure that it's 100% because you never know what they're going to do. At least with that lard, they put it in the ingredients. I don't know if they had to or if they, I don't know what the deal was, but they put it in the ingredients. So that's that.
Well, I think, was it our buddy Kurt that just said they finally moved to lard at his place?
I'm not sure if it was Kurt, but I don't want to say, yeah, it was Kurt. It was the guy who he changed, not changed, but named his son Vinnie at birth. He's got the restaurant in Minnesota or
South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we're thinking Kurt. What's his name? James? I can't think of his name.
I feel like I just saw something from Kurt, and he said, I think they're like 95% transferred over, something like that.
He might have said he was putting it in his fryers, if I'm not mistaken, for the French fries and stuff. Because, by the way, folks, don't go eating French fries. It's 100% carbohydrate. Back when I was a kid and I did eat French fries now and again, they used to be done with beef tallow. And then the McDonald's of the world, they all went to, a vegetable oil or a seed oil. And the only time you will get those really kind of golden brown, kind of hard crunch with the nougaty center on a potato was like if you went to a private restaurant where they still used, beef tallow. But at some point they all went, wait, it's cheaper to do this other thing. So they all went cheaper. Right? Why not? Fries became soggy no matter where you went.
Yeah, he did. So I just found that he said it's 98% tallow. So I'm assuming he's he may have been one of the people that was talking about how adulterated it is.
I
But it's
wonder
crazy
what's
how
the percent. Aren't you
the
interested?
other 2%.
What is he?
What's the worst oil out there?
Yeah,
No.
but no, but he's like 98%. Why can't he be 100%? I'm interested. Can you see if you get Kurt to come on for a minute tonight?
Yeah, I'll
I would
grab
be-
him while we're chatting with Mariano.
Yeah, let's talk to Mariano.
Mariano, give me that thumbs up if you're good to come in, and we'll bring you on in. There he is. Hey, Mariano, how you holding up, man?
Hey, Chris. Hi, Van. How are you guys?
Doing well. 22909. If anyone wants to know where Serena and I used to live, 22909 Mariano in Woodland Hills, California. That was the
That's
street.
funny.
Yep. When I went and picked her up on our first date, and then a couple of years later, I was living in that house and renting my house out. Yep. That's the way
Very
that.
interesting. I heard that a while back, well, a couple of years ago when you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Nobody associates me with a street except for you probably now. Best case scenario, some people associate me with baseball because of Mariano Rivera,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
So Mariano, how are you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing okay. Very busy, getting deep into tax season, and that's what I do. So, but it's okay. Just I need to survive through April roughly, and things will be okay. You guys brought up a bunch of different things that I can identify with. The first one is the joint pain. When I go off road, my left knee starts bothering me quite a bit. Since I lost weight, it did a lot better. When I stay clean, it doesn't bother me. I go upstairs. We have a two-story house here, and when I go upstairs, I do double steps, just my non-exercising exercise basically.
Yeah.
And when I do something wrong, I feel it on my left knee, and if I did extra wrong, I feel it on my right knee too. And if I stay clean for probably a week or two, and my knees don't bother me anymore. And
What makes you go off?
also,
Talk to me about that. I'm always interested. You know, you and I'm a little older than you, but I grew up under the Lombardi method, right? Nobody's perfect, but if you shoot for perfection, you'll land near excellence, right?
yeah.
And why do things right some of the times when you can do them right all of the time, right? All of these kind of phrases that I grew up with. What is it where you're going, man, I feel great. This is wonderful. The way I'm eating, I'm exercising, I'm doing double steps, this and that and the whole thing. What happens to make you go, screw it? Give me, what do you got there? You got some cheesecake? What causes you to go off? Why?
Well, most of the time, sometimes it's planned, where I forget that how addicted I am to crap, and I say, okay, in 3 weeks I want to have ice cream, or I want to have whatever, and then it's very hard for me to get back. But most of the time is when I get tempted. Maybe the family orders pizza, or maybe there are cookies and things like that, and I resist. I just cannot resist anymore for whatever stupid reason, and I go off. And my problem, like all the people addicted, I cannot have one cookie, one slice of pizza. I have to have it all, basically, whatever is there, until I
So it's
either feel
right.
embarrassed or or I feel sick, or something stops me.
Right.
But yeah, it's just that temptation is the one thing I cannot resist, I guess. I read something somewhere.
Well, let's say, wait,
But
hang on. Let me ask you this. Let's say you go 3 weeks clean. Can you go 3 weeks really clean? Have you done that?
yes,
No pizza, no
yes.
cookies. Okay. So let's say
Yeah.
you go 3 weeks and you tell yourself at the end of 3 weeks, I'm going to have ice cream, right? And you do the ice cream. Do you now have trouble? Do you eat ice cream for the next 3 or 4 days before you get back? Or how does that work?
When it's planned, it's usually one time, one sitting, what I planned that I wanted to eat, and I can usually go back fairly fast. But I stop eating crap, but my brain doesn't stop thinking about it. So it makes it hard, makes it very hard to go clean without having the mental pain. When I go off road because of temptations and things like that, that's sometimes it's a little, it might
Oh,
happen
Mariano.
a couple of there is crap all over the place. But it's, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it some of it is, well, besides the temptation, some of it is, I guess, self-distraction, some of it is stress, some of it is well, I don't know. I've been doing that for so long.
We're having a little trouble with
But
hearing you,
I'm
Mariano.
50. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, well, you're cutting in and out, but I'm getting the general gist. So let me just say this.
Hello,
Let
hello.
me, yeah, I can hear you. So I get what's going on, and I think the audience was able to pick it up, but you started cutting out a bit. The bottom line is that, yeah, people will say to me, "Oh, you're so stoic," right? But my feeling is, I know that if I have a little bit, I'm going to want more, right? So it's better for me just to go, all right, I'm not going to have the ice cream, because once I have the ice cream, now I'm going to want more ice cream. And I'm going to go, oh man, I haven't had chocolate in a long time. I'm a sugar addict. I know that, right? I know what's going to happen to me. So I tend to try to stay away and just not do it. So it's not, it's easy to be stoic if you just never do it, right? And that's something that you need to learn. That's something we all need to learn. You'll go, well, what, can I never have it? Notice when Mariano said, when I have the ice cream, it's planned. I just have the ice cream and then I go away, right? But when there's cookies around and his kids are eating cookies and it's a Tuesday night, or they bring pizza in next Wednesday night, now this stuff is in your face all the time. I always find it's easier to just stay away from it altogether, right? And just say, that cookie might as well be a rattlesnake. I'm not going to touch it. If I touch it, it could bite me, right? Think about it. You don't go poking rattlesnakes, do you? Just doesn't happen. So why would you do that in other places? Chris?
So how do you know, Vin, the difference between planning that temptation and life into living?
That is the life into living, right? Knowing that, look, I just explained my Thanksgiving thing, right? Not this weekend. Oh, actually, I'm going to be in New York next weekend, right? And I'm going to see my sister-in-law, the one where when I see her, I can have wine. And we're going to go out with her and her husband for dinner. And I'm sure that there's going to be, of course, I'm going to have a piece of meat or fish or whatever. But if there's wine, if they're ordering wine, I'm going to have some. I'm planning that for 3 weeks from now, right? If they don't have wine, then I won't, right? But if they're saying, hey, we're getting a bottle, I'm in, because that's my rule, my Kristen rule. When I see Kristen, I can have all the wine I want. Why? Because I see Kristen once or twice a year, right? So I have that planned, but I'm going to be in New York for the weekend. It doesn't mean I'm going to go, oh, wait, I'm in New York. Let me go find the best pizza, and let me go find the best bagel shop, and let me go find, there's a place there called Italy, right? It's an Italian place with nothing but food. You stay out of Italy. when you go there, you're going to want to eat all the cannolis and everything. I know that. So you got to pick and choose when you go to places like that, right? So that's when you put a little life into living. I'll probably do it when I see, Kristen and John, and not before that, because that's the way I like to roll, right? So you plan it out. Now, if you're Mariano and there's stuff coming in your house all the time, you just have to look at it as if it doesn't exist. Almost the way an alcoholic, may go to a bar, a restaurant where there might be a bar, they know they can't have the liquor. They might sit there and drink a glass of sparkling water with a lemon in it until everyone takes a seat in the restaurant, right? They're not going to go, well, I'm here, I might as well drink again, and screw up years and years of sobriety. It doesn't work that way. And with sugar, it's around more. And some people will say, why don't you treat it exactly like alcohol? Some people do that. That's the only way they can control it. I've been very good over the years of going, when this shows up, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then I'm moving on. Now think about it. I'm going to be seeing Kristen at the end of this month, February. The last time I screwed up was, Christmas? I had a little something, I think. Can't remember, because it all melts together now, Christmas and Thanksgiving. But I think I had a dessert at Christmas. Now we're talking, 3 months, 2.5 months, and I'm going to have probably some wine. And then it might be the summertime before something happens again. I don't know. But that's the way I do it, right?
Well, and I think you also do the second half of the planning. And I think this is where a lot of people get caught up. And you and I have talked about the rocks, cheat days, and all of those kinds of things, right? Obviously, that's just ridiculous, overkill, and too much. But a lot of people do more life into living than you do. And that's not necessarily wrong, as long as you're not just planning the life into living part. It's the planning of the recovery from that we tend to screw up on, right? I want ice cream in 3 weeks. Cool. Right. The best choice there is probably to go get ice cream at an ice cream shop. But what do we end up doing? We go buy a gallon of Breyers. Does Breyers still make ice cream? Tillamook, right? Because that's fancier ice cream. Or something like that. And then guess what? It's in the damn house. And when it's in the damn house, you're going to eat it because you don't want to throw it away. Vinny, how much are eggs right now?
I don't know, $6 or something.
Right. So you're like, all right, well, I just spent $12 on this gallon of Tillamook ice cream. I don't want to waste it.
Right.
And then you have the guilt of not eating the rest of it, despite the fact that it's not part of the plan.
Right.
And in Mariano's case, I know he doesn't have control over everything that's coming into the house, but a lot of us do.
Right. Chris, I have a special caller that I want to bring in. So, let me call this person, put Mariano back in the waiting room, and I want to talk to this person right now. You ready?
All right.
Oh God, it's going to FaceTime. Why does nothing ever work the way I want it to work? Why? That's my question. Why? I did not press that. Unbelievable.
Hello?
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
You're on the air.
Oh, okay.
We're doing a podcast, and this is a Friday call-in show, so there's no Anna here today. It's me and it's Chris.
Hey, Chris.
So, Mark, can we, because we're talking about, discipline and getting stuff done, and it made me think about what you're doing right now. So can we tell the audience that you had a health scare? Or are you okay with that?
Vinny, I am definitely okay. You can tell them anything you want about my health condition because I'm cancer free. So
yeah. So
go ahead and explain.
So Chris, my brother Mark, who's been on the Monday show several times with Anna and me, he's a crowd favorite because he's an open book. He will tell you everything. And Mark, was it right before Christmas? When was it?
December 23rd.
Yeah, right before Christmas, December 23rd. He calls me and he tells me about this mass he has on his testicle. And I explained to him, I say, oh yeah, I've had one of those, and it's a hydrocele. And he goes, yeah, they've scanned mine, and they need to go in. You know, they don't see clear, because with the hydrocele, it looks completely different. With Mark, it was,
I had testicular cancer.
yeah, he had testicular cancer, and they didn't know how bad it was or anything else. So you went in on what day to get the surgery, Mark?
Well, when you and I talked, it was like the 22nd. Well, no, it was like the 21st or something like that. And then on the 23rd, it was actually my surgery date.
Yeah, so
right before Christmas.
Yeah, 2 days before Christmas, he goes in for surgery. They have to take it immediately. This thing has been on him for a while. Mark didn't believe in early detection. He just looked at it for a year and then decided to go get it checked because it just kept getting bigger. And they were worried, man, we got to get this thing out. It could be in your lymph nodes and everything else. Right, Mark?
All of that is correct.
So just like Lance Armstrong, it takes you and Lance together just to come up with one set of balls now, right?
Well, yes. Well, you know, it was kind of, you know, my wife had been kind of telling me, you know, you need to go get a checkup. You need to go do a health checkup. You know, you go to the cardiologist, you go to get your diabetes checked. And that's the only two doctors I would go to. And she said, you need a wellness. So, you know, I kind of knew something was wrong a little bit.
Right.
So I said, you know what, let me just go get a wellness. And when you walk in there, he's checking you out and he said, oh, by the way, could you look down here? I got, this going on. And that's how it all came about.
Yeah. So turns out they took one of your testicles out immediately, and they did all the proper stuff and figured out that it wasn't in your lymph nodes, so you didn't need any other chemo immediately. But you're still they're still checking you, right?
Yeah. Look, no, best case scenario, they removed it. It was cancerous. They think they got it all, and they told me no chemo or radiation. And look, in 4 months, they're going to check me, and then they're going to keep checking me, of course.
Yeah.
To make sure that I'm okay.
Yeah. But meanwhile, that's when I took the opportunity to pounce on you again and go, Mark, why don't you at least do some exercise? Just something, right? And you decided to get on your bike one day for 10 minutes. Is that right?
So you want me to tell a story about that, or just
yeah?
You want to
Mark, it's a podcast. You tell stories. That's kind of how it works.
Anyway, Vinnie had been talking to me and said, Mark, when are you going to have enough? And you got to realize he's really nice on the podcast and all these kind of things. But when you're talking to your brother, you can really hear it. I mean, do you have enough? You got to stent. You're diabetic. When you go on my program, you feel better, you move better. You're not using the bathroom every hour on an hour. You're not drinking all of this water. Now it's cancer, and so, like a big brother would do, he's getting on me. And so we had talked about in the other podcast, I guess your Monday one, we had been talking about, hey, first of the year, I'm doing it, Vinnie. I'm going to start on the bike. Okay.
Right.
So I came up with on my own, I'm going to get on the bike for 10 minutes. Tomorrow I'm going to ride 11 minutes. The next day I'm going to ride 12 minutes. And the next day, 13 minutes. Okay. And then, Vinnie, I'm going to let you say what you told me about that.
Yeah, he told me he was going to add a minute every day. So without even pulling out paper and pencil or going to my calculator, I said, Mark, if you do that, by the end of the year, you'll be doing close to probably 6 hours a day, because that's over 365 minutes. And I did some quick division, and that's what I came up with. And he goes, oh, yeah, I didn't think through it. I said, okay, here's what I think you should do. You should go up a minute a day and you're going to probably do 5 out of every 7 days. Take a little break whenever you think you need a break. And you did that, right, Mark?
Yeah, look, you were right on. I missed like 2 days since I've started. I'm driving home from work, and before I actually eat, I'm gonna get on a bike for 20 minutes today. And you'll tell him how I got to 20.
Yeah,
sure.
so I told him to go up a minute every day until he got to 20 minutes, and then stick with that for 8 or 10 days. And whenever he's feeling his oats, go to 25 minutes and stick with that for 8 to 10 days, or as long as he wants, and then go to 30 and keep doing that until he gets to an hour. Right?
Correct.
And then just do an hour a day, at least 5 days a week. Pick the days when you want to take off, when you're not feeling it. But my feeling is by the time he gets there, if he's feeling enough energy and he's feeling good enough, he might start doing other things. Maybe he'll get on the floor and do a set of push-ups, from his knees or whatever, because he's a heavy-set guy. Mark, did you break the 300-pound mark yet?
Vinny, I'm at 300.2 pounds as of this morning.
Because you did some Super Bowl partying yesterday, I'm guessing, right?
Listen.
Right. Hang up, run to the bathroom, and come right back, Mark. Yeah. We'll finish this conversation.
Yeah. So, no, I didn't. I drank water all day yesterday. There was no beer, no alcohol. We had a charcuterie board, and I pretty much demolished that. We had chicken wings, and I ate them naked. And also we had sausage. I ate some sausage, and they had deer sausage and all that kind of stuff. Louisiana things.
Yeah. So all right. So you had you stayed pretty much carnivore at the party, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you ready for this?
Sure. I can't wait.
I actually cooked a shrimp jambalaya yesterday and didn't even eat any of it.
Wow. So you brought that as your offering to the party? Was that it?
No. Well, I've been doing my little TikTok thing. So I did the TikTok on a jambalaya.
Oh, Chris, I don't know if you noticed, but Mark became Huck Tour Boy. He's on TikTok. He's only got like 200 followers, but one of his things went pretty viral. How many hundreds of thousands do you have on that, Mark?
350,000 as of today. And my friends keep watching it because people are fat shaming me on it.
Yeah. And that, Chris, this is so funny. Yeah. I think we talked about Mark going Huck Tour on TikTok, right?
We did.
Yeah. So Mark wasn't ready for, he was like, hey man, something went viral and look at this. And I was like, what do you think? He goes, I don't like this. And I said, why not? He goes, because there are people out there telling me I skipped leg day and people telling me I'm fat and everything else. What's the worst comment you've seen so far, Mark?
Vinny, your fence looks like your diet is a disaster. Why don't you stop picking up the fork? I could see that you clean your fence like you clean your plate. It's
that's horrible.
Right. And get this, and everybody at work is reading this, and actually they're like, Mark, you need to do a TikTok dogging the ass out.
No, it doesn't help, Mark. Trust me. Chris will tell you whenever, no one gets as much hate mail as I do. Would you agree, Chris?
It's it's fairly competitive.
Yeah, it's I get the worst hate mail, and I get, people, and I leave all of the comments, you can erase the comments. I'll leave them up there. And usually I'll put something back like, Mom, is that you? Something like that. But there's nothing you can, it's like, just let it go. These are all losers. You got to remember, the people doing that are losers in their mom's basement, right? They hate their own life. So they're going to sit there and hammer you. And it's just.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. They don't realize that I probably lost 55 pounds and, you know, I've been trying really hard, to lose weight, and they don't know where I'm at. I remember a long time ago, Vinnie, you had somebody on one of your, and this was a long time ago, I kind of read it. One of your people on Facebook said this guy was big. He was sitting in a plane and he got a Sprite or a 7-Up or whatever.
Right.
And people just kind of went and started saying, hey, you don't know where that guy is in life. Maybe that's his cheat day. Maybe he lost 300 pounds before he got on the plane. And nobody really knows where people are in life. And let me just tell you, I'll be honest with you. I had a little trouble getting up out of a sofa for the Super Bowl. And I can see two of the younger girls. Now, this is friends of mine's daughter. She kind of laughed. And I said, and I walked up to her and I said, you don't have to laugh at the fat people, And, she says, oh, Mr. Mark, I love you. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But, she saw me struggling to get out of that. And Vinnie, was I embarrassed about that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Am I saying to myself, I want to ride this bike to show this little girl, next year, maybe for the Super Bowl, that I've lost, I don't know, 60, 70 pounds, and I'm able to get out of the sofa a little bit better?
Yeah.
Absolutely I am. I mean, and this is a young person in her 20s, and I don't think she meant it,
Well, everybody, I hear it all the time. People will say, yeah, I was at the grocery store and the heavyset woman was in front of me. You should have seen the crap that, it's like, yeah, because they don't know. They don't know what to do. They've done everything the food pyramid told them to do. They did everything their doctors told them to do, and they're addicted to these foods. We were with a couple, and I don't particularly.
Can I stop you for a second?
Sure.
I'd like to talk to you about the grocery store. I've been on this, NSNG for about 3 weeks now. Okay.
Right.
2.5, 3 weeks. And so, you go grocery shopping or you go just about anywhere. Let's take Big Lots. It's a store that's going out of business. So my wife and I, we go check it out. And every turn, every corner, it's candy. It's
right.
chips. We go to we shop at Aldi a lot. There's chocolate. There's like every time you turn, it's like every aisle almost you're finding sugar. I'm gonna just say it like that.
Well, they do it at Lowe's too. I mean, I was talking about that on the show a couple of weeks ago. There were 3 guys in front of me at Lowe's, and the smallest one probably went 300. They were contractor type dudes, right, with the Carhartt on and the whole thing. Dust on them and everything. They've been working. 2 of them had the plumber's crack and the whole thing, and every one of them had something in their hand besides the big cart of wood, because I was buying lumber that day, right? So I was in that line with the cart, the lumber cart, and
Correct.
These guys are pushing those things out. They had the big 24-ounce Coke, and one guy had Coke and Twizzlers, and I'm like looking around going, where in the hell did they get? And then I looked, and there's like a wall of sugar at Lowe's for these guys, to keep their sugar up, because Lowe's knows these guys are all addicted. We need to keep them going all day long. Why? We're going to sell this to them, right?
Absolutely. And, even the guys at work have been, noticing, hey, Mr. Mark, you're not tired in the middle of the day. You must be on the program, and I say, y'all, I am, because in the middle of the day, they would see me pretty much crash at work because of the sugar highs and lows. I mean, sugar to me is I get like really high as a kite and ready to take on the world. And then when I drop.
Yeah. You're no different than anyone else, Mark. You're a basic human. Well, look, this show is getting a little long in the tooth, so we're going to have to let you go. But thanks for coming on and giving us an update. Next time you come on, we want to hear that you're in the 2s.
Yeah, I got you.
All right. So we're not having you back on until you're in the 2s. Like we need you down to like maybe 290, and then we'll get you back on.
Yeah, I'm fighting it. I'm doing it.
Yeah,
So,
and get home. You're going to be 20 minutes on the bike tonight?
20 minutes. I'm on my way home now. So I'll be 20 minutes. Absolutely.
Good. That's what I like to hear. Well, Mark, I know you always love this, so I'll play it for you. You get a kick every time I do it. So this is for Mark on his way out. Thanks for coming on, man.
It's the billionaire Don Connington's Friday 5 o'clock blast off.
I love that.
It's the best. It truly is the best. All right, there you go. So, Chris, we're going to make that the final thing here on the show. But I wanted to give that update. The guy went through cancer, somehow made it through. He's Teflon, right? He can always just make it through. And there you have it. Right?
Love it. Vinny, before we jump off, you asked me to talk to Kurt quick. He said it's 98% tallow, 2% soy, and deodorizer. But it's the cleanest thing they can get that meets restaurant quality standards.
All right. So that's what a 2% is.
Yeah.
All right.
But I guess the same company is coming out with something that is supposedly even cleaner than that. And he said it's about 16 cents more a pound than buying the garbage.
Well, I hope he spends the 16 cents a pound. I know restaurants go through a lot and, you know, they have very tight margins. But come on, Kurt, let's get to that 16. Is it 16% or 16 cent? 16
I think he said 16 cents a pound.
Yeah.
Because the price of seed oils have gone up anyway. And so it's becoming even more price competitive, which is good.
Wow.
That's where we want it to be.
Cool. I want to thank Mitchel Wayne for coming on, Mariano for being on, and of course, Chris. By the way, folks, before you go shopping on Amazon, go to VinnieTortorich.com, click through the banner. Doesn't cost you a dime, but it helps keep this show free for like 12 years in a row now. So go check, or maybe 13, I don't even know. So go check out Amazon. You know what to do. Rate and review this podcast. Just take a minute and rate and review this podcast because that's how other people find us. So on behalf of Mitchell, Mariano, Chris, and Mark Tortorich, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living, and let's do it with one Miss Shania Twain.